I just got to start out by saying this is not the video I really had planned. And I'm going to release that later on this week. But is America dying? That's what I'm asking myself right now. And I don't know that I have an answer, but we're going to talk about it. This is the Quiet Republic. So I wake up Easter morning on Sunday and I check my one of the few socials I have, my emails, and I saw something that I was like, surely this is a hoax, right? But then I kept seeing it pop up and pop up. And it was a post from Truth Social that the president of the United States posted. And I was like, this can't be real, right? This has to be satire. This has to be a hoax. It's not a hoax. And this is what he says. I'm going to put it up on the screen. I'm going to go ahead and read it. Tuesday will be Power Plant Day and Bridge Day, all wrapped up in one in Iran. There will be nothing like it. Open the fucking straight, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch. Praise be to Allah. President Donald J. Trump. This is about more than just this post specifically, but I feel like this post sort of encapsulates where we're at right now. And so I'm asking this broad and more systemic question: is America dying? And what I don't think that looks like a bang, like the bombs drop and everything's just over. Like, I don't think that's the way America dies, right? I think that more what it looks like is how Rome died, how ancient Rome died. Death by a thousand cuts, right? There was economic pressures, there was infighting, there was outside nations, there was multiple battlefronts. There was a lot of things that led to the decline of Rome. So, and it happened over hundreds of years. You know, there was no one day that the empire of Rome just simply crumbled. And I honestly think that's probably what is happening to America right now. So this isn't just about Trump. I think more than the cause of all of these problems, Trump is just the symptom. Like, he's the latest and most sort of visceral symptom of something that's been happening to our nation for the longest time. Our institutions have been failing for a very long time, and trust in them has been failing for at least since the Kennedy assassination back in the 1960s, right? At least since then. Kennedy and then MLK and then the Watergate. I mean, that just kind of really tanked Americans' trust in the government. I just don't know what the hell we're doing anymore. I really don't. The fact that the sitting president of the United States can make a post like that and there not immediately be the question of, like, do we need to invoke the 25th? The content of what is actually there. I mean, Tuesday will be Power Plant and Bridge Day. This is the President of the United States making a direct threat on civilian infrastructure, which is a war crime to target civilian infrastructure, right? That's a war crime. For the United States, like, as far as our laws go, it's a war crime, and then also like international laws. There will be nothing like it. That's like he's like bragging about the chaos and destruction. And then just like on Easter morning, not that I think Easter's all that great, but on Easter morning, open the fucking straight, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. All right, this is from the Christian president. Just watch. Praise be to Allah. President Donald. I mean, this is just insane. Like, what are we doing? How have we come to this? I mean, I have answers for how we've come to this. I don't think that, like I said, I don't think Trump is the cause of all this insanity. I think he is the symptom of what happens when a nation completely loses its fucking mind. The right, it has just gone insane. With the rise of Christian nationalism, where we're importing a certain version of Christianity. And I want to be clear here. I don't think that when we talk about Christian nationalism, it's fair to say that it's just like broadly Christian. It is a very specific like strain and ideology found within like fundamentalist evangelical Christianity that drives this sort of Christian nationalism. Because I mean, there are a lot of different Christianities out there and versions of the religion itself that are not nearly so radical or dangerous, right? But this one is, and then we have like a lot of officials, especially in red states, but right now, the ones that are kind of pulling the levers of power that operate within these circles and are influenced by these. We have people who rawing towards the end times and the return of Jesus. They want a World War III. They want death and destruction because they think it will trigger the literal return of Jesus Christ. And to me, that's an insane thing to base your policy on. Like, you're basing the decisions and the policies you're making about going to war with Iran on like this concept of the nation of Israel needing to have a third temple, and then just Gog and Magog and war and death and destruction, and so Jesus returns, right? This sort of thing is what is driving their decision making, and I know it all too well because I was raised within these circles. I was raised very deep red conservative Texas, among a sort of more cultish branch of Christianity that was very, very focused on like purity culture and whatnot. But supporting Israel was like another huge aspect of how I was raised. And so I recognize it when I see it, and it's crazy to see some of those more like insane beliefs kind of transported from like the fringes into like the very heart of policymaking and decision making, from the executive to the lawmakers to even some of the judicial decisions, right? And so when I say America's dying, I don't think you can blame any one thing. I'm not saying that like, oh, Trump killed America, right? I think that like we've probably been on the decline for like a good amount of time. But the fact that we've gotten to the place where the president can post what he posted, and then there's like still a good number of his supporters that cheer that on, that absolute insanity on, and the fact that we won't talk to each other, those of us that aren't like die-hard MAGA people, the fact that our institutions are failing and there's no trust in them among the public, or very little trust at least, of them among the public. And then you bring in like sort of what's happening on the global scale about how Trump has been alienating us from our allies, and how the power of the dollar is starting to go, and we have challenges from Russia and China, and we have coalitions being built against us because, I mean, I think in large part because we've been bullying the world for the past 70 years. I think that all of these things accumulatively are spelling, I won't say the end of America, but like the dying process, I think is fully underway at this point. And I don't mean for this to sound like a rant where I'm just kind of talking about all the things I don't personally like. I don't think that the collapse that I'm seeing kind of in slow motion is guaranteed. I think that we can still pull back from this direction. I think it'll take a hell of a lot of work, and I think there's some relationships that are irreparably damaged, and I think there will be like downstream consequences for what's happened. But I don't think that America need to completely collapse. But I think that genuinely, if we keep going the course we are currently going, I don't see another outcome. And at the end of the day, I have very little trust in solutions on the federal level. I think that what we must do is on the community level start coming together. I think that we need leaders now more than ever to emerge within their communities and seek to do good and seek to be neighbors to one another. And like if we all did that across the states, and essentially began working on building another infrastructure that operated alongside the federal government and the one already in place, and established sort of mutual aid and true community, I think that that would be a powerful movement. I think that just refusing to play the game, if refusing to be a part of their system in whatever way we possibly can, is another way that we can actually affect change. I would advocate for things like withdrawing your money from stocks and bonds that are associated with international corporations and even very large conglomerates. Pull your money out of national banks and put it into your local bank. Their ability to access large amounts of money through the national and international banking system is one way they're able to bankroll all the bullshit. And if we just refuse Like, what can they really do? If we refuse to pay our taxes, if we refuse to let them borrow our money for free through the national banks, and if we, shop local as much as possible, don't shop on Amazon if you can help it. Don't shop at Walmart. Don't shop out in these huge national corporations. Go support your local business as much as humanly possible. Like, it sounds small, it sounds tiny, and it is, but like cumulatively, that could become something very powerful. It could become something very, very powerful if we all did that simultaneously. If we all just went, yeah, no, fuck it. We're not playing your games anymore. We're going to support our local communities. We're going to support our local business owners. We're going to support our local banks and keep our money here locally. I think if we like all did that across the states, the institutions of power that have corrupted our government and these massive corporations and billionaires, we would bleed them dry within days or weeks. I mean, just look in 2008 how fast the banks were begging for government bailouts, which is taxpayer funded bailouts, right? If we just all withdraw from the system simultaneously, think about how powerful that could be, right? Because then we have power to demand change, true change, because we hit them where it hurts, right? So I am in no way, shape, or form advocating for violence. I would never advocate for violence. What I am advocating for is causing them true pain and economic pain, which I think would actually yield much better results than, pulling the old flintlock off the mantelpiece. So yeah, man, I think America's dying. And I think that we all have to do our part to build something better for the future, for our children, man. I have a 3-month-old child, and I think of the world that she's going to inherit. And that scares the hell out of me. America is dying, but I don't think it has to. I really don't. This is the quiet and very solemn republic.